giant. And gnats. They so annoying. Man. Are you a gnat swatter? Do you swat at gnats? Y'all, when I tell you, those gnats can be so annoying, okay? And I want to use an analogy and talk about gnats. You know, I love using an analogy to kind of express myself and kind of talk about, you know, a subject or a topic to kind of bring it on home clear, right? And so, you know, gnats, you know, like I said, are very annoying. And for some reason, they're attracted to moisture. You know, you see them kind of hovering over your fruit bowl. You know, they're attracted to smells, you know, those things that give off odor. And sometimes, you know, you'll be outside in the daytime and you can see gnats, right? And they're like in a school. They're kind of like in a cloud, but you see a whole bunch of them, right? And sometimes those gnats can bite. You know, there are biting gnats, okay? And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that today, but I want to, you know, spin it in a little bit of a different way. I want to use an analogy about how when you swat at gnats, you know, what you're really, you know, swatting at. No copy, burn it, no ollie, the real ones around the house, super cows, I got cows. You know, those gnats, you know, they're real small. So sometimes you don't even see them until they're like right in your face, right? They're hoovering around, you know, in your personal space. And so, you know, I want to talk about how when you're swatting at gnats, you know, in your personal life, sometimes, you know, they could be for minor things, right? Sometimes we're swatting at stuff that's so small we can't even see it. You know, and so like, you know, and some of the triggers, you know, when we talking about, you know, gnats and we compare them to things in our life that are so minute, because, you know, sometimes you don't even see the gnat until it's right there, right? It's right in your face, right? And so in our personal life, you know, when we're swatting at gnats, you know, and I'm talking about, for example, we're swatting at stuff like, you know, we got less ice, you know, in our cup, right? I'm talking about things like you go to, you know, the grocery store and, you know, they give you back 4 cents, you know, instead of 5 cents, you know. So we're swatting at, you know, a 1 cent difference. You know, we're swatting at, you know, 4 or 5 more cubes of ice, right? We're swatting at things like, you know, sometimes, and we get it all the time, bad customer service. You know, maybe the, you know, is shortage in staff, and so, you know, we're swatting at the waiter or waitress because, you know, they forgot to bring a napkin, or they forgot the Chick-fil-A sauce, the extra Chick-fil-A sauce that you asked for. You know, we're swatting at stuff like maybe something that our coworkers said, or and we know what we're gonna get with the coworker, right? So like, you know, we get this coworker, they're gonna act the same way no matter what. But, you know, it's a trigger. Sometimes it could be a trigger for us, and so we find ourselves swatting at this and that, you know, coworker, and you know they're gonna act the same way. It's not gonna be, you know, any change. We all know, just like Maya Angelou said, if a person shows you who they are the first time, believe them. You know, believe them. And so we find ourselves swatting, you know, at stuff like, oh, she didn't acknowledge me when I walked in the room, or she didn't say hi to me when I first saw her, or you know, you thought that somebody looked at you the wrong way. I mean, it just be minute stuff. I mean, we just sometimes major on minor stuff. That's what I mean by, are you swatting at gnats? Okay, are you majoring on minor stuff, right? Are you upset because you didn't get a full cup of a drink, right? Uh, Someone, didn't speak to you. Are you swatting at gnats? All right, y'all. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about what happens when you continue to, you know, swat at gnats. Okay. Let's talk about, some of those triggers, that cause you to constantly be, upset, that constantly, keeps you in a perpetual state of crisis, a perpetual state of drama. And so what happens is when you continue to swat at those gnats, you want to first ask a question like, okay, why am I being surrounded by these gnats? Why am I constantly swatting at these gnats? Now, I said I wanted to use an analogy. So when I'm talking about swatting at gnats, I'm talking about swatting at the negativity, swatting at this, little, minor stuff in our life, that keeps us distracted, right? And so that keeps us annoyed, that keeps us aggravated, because that's what gnats do, right? So I'm talking about the gnats in our life, that trigger us, that keeps us annoyed, and just majoring on minor stuff, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, like, why are we swatting at gnats, and why do we find ourselves or gnats attracted to us that we find ourselves swatting, right? So for example, you ask yourself, we ask ourselves the question, like, first of all, why are the gnats attracted to me? What is it about gnats, or what is it about, something as small and minor as, oh, they didn't acknowledge me, or they didn't speak to me? What is it about that kind of triggers you, for example, like when you see the person, or when you go somewhere, or when you enter into a room? So like, what is it about it, And so sometimes, our disposition, our characteristics, sometimes we we ourselves find that we are attracted to that, and those kind of negativity, those kind of things that are negative are attracted to us. And so how, and it's like the law of dynamics. I don't know what it is. Sometimes negativity seems to find people who are negative, right? For some reason, I don't know what it is, but it's like the law of attraction, And so when, you find that gnats are attracted to you, so then we have to ask our question, well, what is it? Why do they keep returning? They keep returning because they know our reaction, right? They know how you're going to respond, right? They know you're just going to be swatting and swatting, right? And so they return, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, like, okay, so while I'm swatting and while they keep returning, how do I get rid of them? And one other thing that I'm noticing is that, when gnats continue to, follow you in your face, again, we're using that analogy, when you have negativity attracting negativity, it seems like, you can't get, remove yourself from it. And sometimes what it is that, gnats like a dumping ground, right? Same thing with negativity, those things that trigger you. Again, like I said, somebody didn't acknowledge you, or you didn't get your Chick-fil-A sauce, stuff like that triggers you, And we even talk about how sometimes, people can trigger you, because people know sometimes you're a dumping ground. People like to dump, okay? They like to swarm around you. They like, just like gnats, they like to swarm around and dump the negativity on you constantly. Every time, you see the individual, it's something negative. Every time you see the individual, it's always some drama. It's always some messiness. It's always something. And so, a lot of people, in a disguise, they just need somebody to talk to. They need a listening ear. They really just want to dump on you, okay? So, when you have those type of gnats that want to dump on you, then you have to figure out, you're going to have to figure out a way. We got to figure out a way how you can't be a dumping ground, okay? Can't be a dumping ground for people to drop off their negativity, or to always, have something, bad, messiness to say. And so you want to watch out for those types of gnats. And another thing that I noticed, when people continue to swat at gnats, it seems like they're always in crisis mode. There's always urgency. There's always an emergency. It's always something going on. It becomes a pattern, right? It becomes a pattern. That negative Nelly meter just rises. It just rises. And so I find that, as an individuals, we have to watch for, those gnats, those things that trigger us, that causes us to keep swatting, at minor stuff that doesn't even, amount to anything, because it causes you stress, keeps you up at night. You're always concerned about how somebody feels, what they're going to say, what they think. You're always concerned about how a situation looks. You're always concerned how, you behave around the individual. You have to be careful what you say, because you don't want to trigger anything that causes them to, be negative. And then here you, swatting at gnats again. And so the thing is, the conclusion of the whole matter is, you don't have to swat at gnats, right? There's many different ways and avenues that you can get rid of gnats. Again, those things, those people, those triggers that cause you to be swatting, to be in crisis mode, to be stressed out, okay? So what you have to do is, you have to got to look at ourselves and say, okay, so why are gnats attracted to me, okay? Why are they constantly in my face, right? And so here's the thing, and like in the daytime, like I said, you could see like a school, you could see like a sea of gnats. And so when we see them, what we do, we go around. You don't want to walk right in, a fleet of gnats, especially if you see them. So what we do, we walk around the gnats, right? Till we clear our way to get to the other side. And so that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do in our own personal lives. When we see the negativity, when we hear the negativity, when we know we're going to get a negative response, you got to walk around. You got to start dodging those bullets. You got to start, figuring out, weaving yourself around. And so what you have to do, for me, my thing is, what you have to do is ensure that your energy is free of stress, right? Ensure that you don't allow gnats in your space, okay? Ensure that you don't allow people to drop off, to dump negativity on you, right? To ensure that your mind is free, your space is free, and so again, your inner circle, the people you hang around, the type of personality, okay? So what you're going to get from them, automatically, you already know their characteristics. They're not going to change, okay? People are not going to change. That's what they say. A leopard never changes its spots. It's going to always be the same. Same thing Maya Angelou said. You're going to know them. When they show you, believe them. And so you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision and decide, okay, I know what I'm going to get with this person, okay? I know how they're going to come through the door, okay? I already know how they're going to behave. And so you have to decide to figure out a way where you could start, dialing back, okay? Protecting your space, right? protecting your mind so that you're not swatting at the gnats with him. You know what? Hey, we got our own situations to work out, right? We don't want somebody else bringing us their gnats, you know? We're swatting at their gnats, you're swatting at your gnats. It's too many gnats, okay? Too much swatting going on, okay? So we have to determine, and not only determine, but we have to figure out a way, you know, how we can keep these gnats at bay. Because the truth of the matter is, you know, and even in the natural, gnats, they're not going away. They're always around. You're going to always have, you know, gnats, you know, especially in the summertime, they're going to always be floating around because they love moisture. They love things that, you know, like I said, give off odor. And so in your own life, you have to make sure that you're not giving off a negative odor that attracts gnats to you, so that you're not constantly swatting, okay? So the thing is that we have to just do our part. Keep our positive energy, keep our space clear and free, okay, from gnats. Keep ourselves, you know, keep our minds, you know, decluttered of somebody else's gnats, right? And so I said all that to say, so stop swatting at those little gnats. Stop getting annoyed and frustrated. Stop letting those gnats bite you, because you know gnats will bite you, and they will continue to bite you until you secure your space, until you protect your most valuable asset, which is you. It's you. So you take control, you drive in the driver's seat, and you call the shots, and you decide who is going to be in your space and when they're going to be in your space, right? You don't let people treat you how they want to treat you. No, you teach people how you want to be treated, okay? So y'all, stop swatting at those gnats, all right? Until next time, this is Cynthia with Girlaxin, where we celebrate all things that provide loyalty, support, commitment of the sisterhood. And if this is your first time tuning into my channel, thank you so much. For those of you, welcome back. If you don't mind, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell, and that way you're notified whenever I upload new videos. Until next time, get caught up on my other videos. Take a look at those. I love to hear your comments. If you go ahead, leave a comment, you know, in the description box below. Let me know what kind of gnats you're swatting at. Let me know if you know, you don't swat at gnats. And if you aren't, that's good. That's very, very good. So anyway, until next time, see you in my next video. No copy, burn it, no ollie,